Okay, we shall get started. So,
Okay.
welcome, Yoshi, my dear friend and fellow. We are here, excited on Zoom again. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excited.
so, role model series continues. So, this is my podcast side quest about like really finding like how you are a role model like to yourself, like really seeing the greatness and the perfection of our own path
Mm,
and our own journey, and like really claiming our gifts and talents and like message and whatnot. So
yeah.
um these interviews are all about that. And today, with Yoshi, like I don't even know what are all the things that we will be discussing, but it's like Yoshi is all like all the things, self-expression from the heart, and like really being you, like authentically you in your art. And you are
Mm,
also a manifesting generator for 6, which is really exciting because I am too. You
yes.
are in a different phase, kind of like coming off the roof and um
Yes.
all of that. So give a little introduction, like who are you, who is Yoshi?
You know what's funny? I'm gonna bring this up at the beginning because I just found this. I was just like, this is
Oh,
me at as a
oh.
kid, and I always seem there's a couple of pictures of me where I'm always like, I'm looking at things and I'm analyzing things. And it's like before I put it in my mouth or something. So the other one was with a grape. But my journey is kind of like that, where at the beginning, I'm this shy kid, um, didn't want to talk much, but always knew that I loved to draw. So young, I'm drawing all the time. And it's like, you don't even think about getting into a career because you're just drawing. You get to the point where I saw Star Wars when I was young. What is this? This is amazing. Star Wars inspires me. So all my drawings from that point on changed from airplanes and goalies and whatever. Now it's like stars, 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 stars. That's all I'm drawing. I start thinking in my head, could be interesting to get a job in that because my vision was like, oh, I'd love to work on Star Wars. That would be amazing. So somehow my path just kept on having this gravitational pull to something related to visual effects, something related to doing that. And when I was in high school, I was going to be a programmer because my brother was a programmer. Programming was just starting out. Grade 11, I'm writing a program and I see the screen and I'm like, I don't like this. I hate this. I actually don't like, so it's like, but can I change my plan now halfway through high school? We went to grade 13, so it was literally halfway. And I'm taking all the maths and physics and all that stuff. Then I have this thought where it's just like, no, well, if I'm going to get a job, I want to enjoy it. What if I go into art? But that's my hobby. If I work for art, what will I do as my hobby? Like I have to take one out of a compartment and put it there. You can't draw when you come home because you do art for a drawing. Like that was my crazy logic.
Yeah.
Ended up going to art school to learn to draw. But in high school, there was a little book about 3D animation, but you had to go through 3 years of prerequisite art stuff to get to that goal. But that book was like, that's Star Wars. That's Star Wars. And so I go to college for the 3 years to eventually get to the fourth year and then get into that. I get into the business, like I get into commercial production. I get into animation for TV, for 3D animation. I get into video games. I'm doing all this stuff. And
Mm.
then as you know, my friend passed away and that changed everything. And I went on to this self-discovery. So now I'm kind of in this, been on this journey ever since of this self-discovery. And just lately it's been getting, especially in this month, getting back to promoting my art and making that go to the next level. And but that journey from, oh, I was a shy kid who didn't like to talk.
Yeah.
Now I love to express, and like you say, I've learned through that journey that everything's about love, and all I wanted to do is talk about love, express love, draw love, make people laugh, and remind them that that's why we're here. We're
Mm,
beings of stars and love within us, and
mm,
that's kind of like the arc that's going on, and then the chapter's continuing over here right now of
yeah.
next level.
Yeah. So when did that that happen? Like that realization that you are here to like express from love. Like was there like a moment or like a series of moments or like a time in your life when you really like when that changed for you?
I think it came really to a point where I just said, "Oh my gosh, that's what I am." When we met in the new icon course, and a
Yeah.
lot of my stuff had been labeled as art of Yoshi, right? And then Laura Hollick, who was their mentor, kept on saying, "Oh, I think it's more like heart of Yoshi, like because you're all about love." And when she said that, it was like
Yeah.
it was a change point because I was just like, there was a resistance on one side that saying, no, but it's all about the art. And then there's the other part where he was like, but I am about love. So I slowly was changing a few of them, just experiment with it to say, oh, maybe heart would work. Maybe heart would work. And and I think I was consoling myself a bit saying, oh, but the word art is still in the word heart. So it's still okay. Like the logical side said, yeah, it's okay. We'll pass. Yeah, that's okay. But but from that point, the heart of Yoshi, which she was seeing and feeling already so clearly, I was still coming into to say,
Yeah.
oh, oh, oh my God, everything that I do, it's all about art and sending it out. She even had commented that one time where she just said, it's like you were sending these hearts out into the world through all the computer devices and everything, and people are receiving that. So I think that was kind of like the point where I realized through that reflection,
Yeah.
this is a core of who I am.
Mm.
And it took me off that if it was a train track of art of Yoshi, art of Yoshi, art of Yoshi, art of Yoshi, heart of Yoshi, heart of Yoshi, or actually it would go this way, heart of you, heart of yes, heart of Yoshi, yes, heart of you, yes, heart of Yoshi, yes, heart of Yoshi, and then yes, heart of Yoshi. And then the softness
Yeah.
came, right? Yeah.
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 So would you say that that was like a turning point, like in your journey?
I think it was the next little tweak that I needed to hear to
Yeah.
say, this is who you are. And I think because on that kind of entrepreneurial side where we're trying to figure out I didn't plan to be an entrepreneur. It was like I was going to be in the working world all the time. It was
Mm.
my friend had passed away while I was in video games, and that was one of the shifting points. But and I couldn't understand how to stay in those industries anymore. So that was a turning point. That was just before the Heart of Yoshi turning point, where it's just like, okay, I don't fit into the system of a corporate job in visual effects with Star Wars, and I'm being pulled to this Heart of Yoshi area. Even being a love ambassador in the new icon program is just like, oh, promoting that. So it's like, okay, so I can't go back to the old world of those buildings. I tried to, but I just didn't align anymore. It was just like the
Yeah.
resonance was not there. So
Yeah.
it was like a tweaking, shifting point, I think, for the Heart of Yoshi to kind of just say, she's putting up a mirror to you. This is what she really sees. Do you see this? And it
Yeah.
had to be a validation, not, oh, because she said it, that's what I should do now. It was just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it more and more. So yeah, it was like a tweak from the big shift of my friend passing away and me not fitting into this world
Mm.
to now the Heart of Yoshi saying, but isn't this who you really are? Like in your essence
Yeah.
of that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of those like if we look at the theme of like a role model, it's like it's a quest in like really like learning who you are and embodying that in the world.
Yeah,
And it sounds so simple. It's like just
it
be
does.
yourself. It's like it sounds so fucking simple, but
Yeah,
it's a fucking life quest. You know, it's
it,
like a fucking big quest to like kind of like unwind all the things of like, you know, this is my conditioning and this is what people like taught me how to be, and this is like, you know, the paradigm that I sort of like grew into, but this is like what I'm feeling and this is what I'm sensing and this is what I am thinking, you know.
yes,
It's like really finding that core, and we definitely do need like other people sort of like reflecting it like back to us, because it's sometimes so hard to see
yeah,
ourselves.
yes,
And like when somebody really reflects you and it's like it's true, it's like we can feel it. It's like your
yeah,
body is like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
when we are ready to receive it, like,
yeah,
and like obviously there can be resistance because
yeah,
like of all the protection, and you know, and
yeah,
like we have been keeping that hidden, like that heart of Yoshi, like it
totally.
needed time to come out, and maybe like a series of awakenings. And it's
Yeah,
like, so knowing that you have like a background in the like the video game world, like you have been working in the video game industry and kind of like then shifting into like your own art,
yeah,
and like more like kind of like investing your energy like
yeah,
into that and like into your own expression. So
yes,
can you maybe like share a little bit on that, like the
yeah,
shift from like kind of like the corporate art world,
yeah.
if you can say so, like to this like,
Oh yeah,
oh, I'm gonna walk my own path.
yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing is when you get a job, so first job, say we'll talk about the commercial and TV visual effects stuff. So it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna work on stuff like mini versions of Star Wars, right? What do I work on? It's just like, oh, I'm working on a commercial for tampons, or I'm working on a commercial for Tide. But it's got a visual effect in it and stuff. Or it's like, so there's a conflict going on. Like when Michael Jackson's black and white video came out and he had all those morphing faces, right? The big thing to do was have a morph in your commercial. So I got to do a morph, and it was these ladies talking about a product, and I got to do all the hair animating and everything. But the product was a yeast infection cure. So so they would all be talking about this applicator that you use that's very friendly to help for your yeast infection as the morph is going on. And I was like, isn't this, I'm doing Michael Jackson morph thing, but it's for a yeast infection commercial. Okay, but at least I got to try it out. So you get these pockets, say in that job, of where you just say, I love what I'm doing. Something's a little off with the delivery system because I didn't think it was going to be for a yeast infection commercial. And then you go on work on other things, it's boring, 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 boring. You're getting yelled at and all, like it was just a horrible, horrible situation. But you have these pockets. Oh, what are we working on now? Or we're working on RoboCop TV series. Oh, that's awesome. I have fun doing this. Oh, we're working on my secret identity. I'm doing all these blur effects and everything. This is great. And you take the pockets, but then you have if those are the high points, then you have the
Mm,
lulls of what are you working on now? Oh,
mm,
this boring job, this boring job. So you go, when I went to work on Reboot after that, Reboot was another one that still in a corporate system, but the creativity was high. What do you think about a design for this vehicle or for this room? And it was like, oh, what about this? And it's like, oh, I love that. Keep doing that. And the creativity was able to stay high. After we did a couple of the IMAX ride films, which I was absolutely loving, then we got put on other projects. And then the creativity was kind of going down. There was a bit more control. There was more say, and then it went down a bit more. And then I found, oh, here's a pocket of what I love to do. Lots of animations of anything that's on screen that has data and blah, 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 blah. I love animating that. I got to be a part of that. So, hey, here's another high point in that. And then,
yeah,
oh, you got moved to this thing now. Oh, now you're on this. Video game, same thing. First game I
mm,
went into, it's a snowmobiling game, but different levels, and my friend and I said, let's make an amazing level in that. So it's the craziest level. If I show you that video game, you're just like, oh yeah, Yoshi worked on this level because it's crazy and everything, right?
Yeah.
So I got to put my stamp in there, and then
Yeah.
next game, kind of like less boring. But then, oh, here's another one that's good. So all that structure within the corporate environment, you're trying to express what I didn't know, say the heart of Yoshi. You get it out in spurts, and then they kind of like it gets quieted because it's like it's not aligning with the plan. And
Yeah.
that journey has always been about that, of
Yeah.
the heart of Yoshi trying to get out of the shell within the
Yeah.
corporate system. And that's why the awakening
Mm.
happened with my friend passing away, where it's just like,
Yeah.
now I think I need to leap out of this whole thing where there is no corporation structure holding me, but you have no experience at doing it. So you're just like, yeah, I'm doing what I want to, but I don't know much about it. So then you're in the ocean now, learning, right? Just learning again. So, but it's
Yeah.
it's it's always speaking to you when you try to grab wherever you are, right? You're always trying to grab. What's that thing that
Mm.
wants to get out? Hey, we should do a crazy thing. No, we can't do a crazy thing like that. Oh, we should do this. No, no, forever, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. I there oh there's this like there's this like um term or this word that I use like in relation to like singing and self-expression,
yeah,
um which is like the core like of your voice or like the core of your expression. And it's
yeah,
um like what I mean by it is like this creative innocence like that we have. And it's
yes,
like it's very like related to like the child energy like
yeah,
inside of us that is like so innocently excited about things and it so innocently loves things. It's like, you know, it's like the first time you see something that you're just like, oh my gosh, this movie or like this
yeah,
music or like, and it's not that you necessarily like you have to be um like a child to like child like that age to feel that, but it's
yes,
like there is something like where it really connects to that part of us that doesn't have that like I have to do this right or I have to be excellent or I
yes,
have to be really good or I have to prove myself or I have to do
yeah,
it by the rules. It's like the creative innocence or like the core. It's like it has this like um just like the innocent love for
yeah,
things. It has the
yeah,
innocent love for art or music or like, you know, self-expression. It's just like I just want to do this. And then like then there's the spirit that is
yes,
like I really want to do it.
yes,
But the thing that happens is that our spirit gets like stamped on
yeah,
and it's like stepped over and like time and time again. And then also the core, like the heart that is like, I love this, like it gets belittled and shamed and like kind of like eh, like you should be like just get over yourself and become a muggle, like basically. But like but that is like that the core is it's everything. It's like the
yes,
most important thing. And
yes,
like when you're speaking kind of like about like the heart of Yoshi, like
yeah,
to me that is like kind of like you speaking about that core like for
yes,
you and that spirit that is like, you know, just like I just want to do this in my own way. Like I have this wild thing, I have this crazy
yeah,
idea. You know, it's like that like in the most beautiful way, this like innocent um energy in us that is not overly invested in outcome and result and like what am I going to
yes,
get out of
yeah,
this. And
yes,
then it's like that pure thing and that pure love gets like all tangled up with like all of these like expectations and like what should I get and like what
yeah,
should I prove with this or like what is right, what is correct. And you know,
yes,
like and that's like the journey is often like unwinding that so that you get to the actual part, like the
yes,
true parts.
yeah,
Now this is like a
absolutely.
really long explanation
But it's
right here.
truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Like how what does this bring up?
that's
for
like
you? Yeah.
that the interesting thing about as that core is kind of being pushed down in all different situations, we begin, because it's being pushed down so much, it's like a record that's playing over and over. We begin to think that that record is the truth. It's like, no, keep yourself quiet,
Yeah.
keep yourself quiet. And so we're playing this record. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not supposed to make any waves. I'm not supposed to be that crazy or whatever. Keep the love down. And I remember in one project where it's like, you know what, this needs a heart, right? I need to put a heart in there. It's like, no hearts, no hearts. And it's like, like as a moment, it's like, no hearts? What? That's okay, that's huge. Something is wrong where I am at right now.
Yeah.
When the feedback was coming like that. But because that core is so timeless, like that core,
Mm.
when I talk about it, it takes me to the point where it's like, you're zooming off of the planet, you're zooming out of the galaxy, you're zooming into the universe. It's just like, excuse me, what are we in essence? We're just like stardust flying around that has been concentrated in this area. We still have the stardust, but it's like, oh, why is this shell of conformity in here? And but we're stardust. Like, so that's why you say, like, as a kid, even when I think about it, that kid was just tapping into that core stardust from an early age. And we relate it to, oh, when I was 5, I was totally connected to that. When I was 7, I was connected to that. And then I got shelled down after a while. But I see that as a timeless thing. So like you say, that child energy, if I go to a wedding, the first thing that happens when the music goes on, you're not going to see me at my table anymore because I'm not going to be on the dance floor. Right? And that's that core energy that says, you don't want to waste another song, any
Mm.
song, just get out there. So when I'm on the dance floor, I went through the same kind of thing earlier on in my age. It was just like, just dance like because I got my shell on. Don't do anything too crazy. Like, okay, and now just okay. Oh, everybody's probably looking at this, and oh, they're and then later on, we're just like, no, the core is right there. I'm just a goofball on the dance floor right now, right? It's just like I'm just a free expressing heart of Yoshi. Oh my God, it's Michael Jackson. Okay, let's go out there. Let's dance to Michael Jackson, right? So I've seen that evolution of I'm not even worried about how I look like on the dance floor. And if somebody wants to say,
Mm.
it's just like, oh my God, he looks crazy up there. It's just like, yeah, it's the crazy part of the Stardust that's happening right now. This
Yeah,
is the
like let's
chord.
get crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's why Prince writes. It's like all his essence is like, yeah, he was being his core. And then
Mm.
anytime I hear stuff like that, or anytime I hear even a
Yeah.
Def Leppard being one of my favorite groups, it's like
Yeah.
when if you saw me at the Def Leppard concert, um, I got floor seats right by the stage and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, like, I'm just like screaming crazy because that is essence. And I'm going to be essence um, while I'm at that concert. I'm going to enjoy
Mm.
it and everything. So, but that, yeah, that core stardust is always there. And us giving ourselves permission to say, be more of that stardust because you know it's what you want. And then I think as you get older and older, and
Yeah.
you realize, oh, you know what? Time is limited on this space of how long we're going to be
Mm.
here. Do you want to
Mm.
waste another chunk of time squelching
Mm.
down, worried about what your friends are going to say, your relatives are going to say, people are
Mm.
going to say, and all that? Or do you want to be the core stardust and say, hi, this is another video of me. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but we're going to talk about this and just get the stardust out, right? Just get the
Yeah.
love out. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It almost feels like I don't know. It feels like, the purpose, of our art and like our expression. It's just like to be more of the expression of like who we like really are. It's
yeah.
not like that, like we get imposed like all of these things that we should achieve and get with our
Yes.
art. Like
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that we like shouldn't want to be successful or that we shouldn't want abundance
Yep.
and like all of these things, but it's
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
we can't actually create that, and we can't receive that. Like if we come
Yeah.
from this like really tight place of like, but my art needs to prove itself, or like, but it needs to like, I need to, achieve these things to be
Yes.
valuable, right? But
Yeah.
because it's just like, I am just being this, like I am just being
Yes.
this like reckless crazy ball of, like and
Yep.
that's the point.
It
That's
is.
the whole
It's
point.
totally the point.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
spreading that love to the world to remind others, like unconsciously, this is what
Yeah.
you are too. You're stardust. You know what? You actually aren't in that trapped cage. It's a cage that, oh no, you can actually walk. Like that was the thing every time in all these jobs. The door is always open for you to walk away from this cage that you think you're in, right? It's not locked or whatever, but somehow you think, oh, but I have to stay here because the pay's good because of this and all that. But it's like, but I really want to be outside right now. The door is
Yeah.
open if you want. But it's just so-
Yeah, exactly. Like, what would you say? Like, what have like okay, have there been trials like in the sense of like embodying that like stardust
Oh,
kind of energy? Like what um like challenges or trials have you had to go through in order to like get to that point where you can just be that, you can be the person who's like at a wedding just like, yeah, like, dancing and raving when the music starts and you don't care
yeah.
what other people think? Like what are the trials that you've had to go through?
Oh my God, the so many trials, and then I had to write them down. So I'm even going to refer to some of the trials, and I'll go off on intuitively point of it. But I think the interesting part is that I only worked in commercial visual effects, so that section was 7 years. The amount of things that happened in those 7 years in terms of the trials of Yoshi were mainly contained in a big part in those 7 years. Kind of more my second job out of college after learning computer animation and everything. But I have I invested so much of my time into that space that I would be staying there like all night. And so you're even adding over and over, like all nighter, all nighter, all nighter. And then it's like, okay, I think I should get some sleep and go home. And so you're sleeping at work and everything. But the trials that came up in that 7 years felt like it filled 21 years of time because it was so compressed. And whenever I have nightmare relaying, say something is due, I have something due. Commercials are always due yesterday. So it's like, you got to work on tonight. It's just like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. Most people go home for dinner. You're going to be working till 3 in the morning now and do all this. So I have kind of post-traumatic stress from my war zone years within that be having these dreams and I'll have it where it's like I'll just in the dream I'll see a computer screen and it's got a 3D plane on it or whatever and we're working on a commercial and I look over and my coworker who I used to work with is right there and I just said, what are we doing? And he says, oh, we're working on this commercial and it's due yesterday, so we got to get it done. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm not supposed to be in this job. Like, how did I get here? When did I say yes to this job? I have these replaying every once in a while. It's gotten less and less over time, but it shows up every once in a while. So the trials that happened within that job were clients not thinking they're getting enough attention for their job. So I had like an executive who was trying to get through everybody else, but then eventually got to me yelling in my ear and just saying, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, we should, blah, 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 blah. And this is a big, big, well-known person. And it's like, I'm crying once I hang up that phone.
Mm.
But the thing that happened was like, did I get the consoling after that to actually work through that trial, that trauma? No, I got told by a coworker, here, wet some Kleenexes and put them on your face so that you don't get the crying bags under your eyes, so that it'll make you still. And I was like, what is what? Okay, okay. So then I put that on there, but I'm thinking,
Yeah.
why is that the priority to make sure
Mm.
that, oh, I wasn't crying, right? Or whatever. So I was getting tons and tons of reflections like that over the years of there's another one where I'll just bring up one where a coworker had sold a commercial to an advertising agency to say that, oh yes, we could build this 3D animating face. And he did a beautiful rendering of it, sold the client audit and everything. We had just recently got the 3D animation the box, and I'm the one who's working on it. I don't know how to make faces. I don't know how to do that. It's in computer animation at that time, it was near impossible to make a face. So the only people that were really doing it were the people that were like really, really researching that area. So it's like I'm working all day and night trying to make a face. I'm even telling, I'm text or emailing the people who no, I had to fax at that time. I'm faxing to them, how do you make a face? And I get a response from the software company that says, oh, that's a really an advanced thing. I can give you some ideas, but try this out, try this out. So I'm like, how did I get into this position and how am I going to get out of the position? But I have to solve it. So I'm trying to work it and solve it. And I show my coworker my face, but it looks like a frog, right? It's like, do you know what a human face looks like? Do you know how to make a face? Do you know this? Like, I'm just like, I'm learning, and I'm holding all my emotion in. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best right here. I'm doing everything. I'm staying late. I'm blah, blah. So my energy is all repressed. And then I just break down. Like I had so many crying breakdowns where it's just like I would just like enough,
Mm.
right? Or
Mm.
energy of the anger would just kind of like, oh, spurred out at one point because I'd been holding it in too much. So all these ridiculous pushing of limits, like I
Mm.
was learning this one after another and not knowing in my head from a bigger point of view that this was not cool what happened to you, and yeah, that's way too much pressure for something. But I moved through them all. And the thing that was great about an impossible face to create was I broke down and then I talked to my boss and she said she'll do some research. So she found this company in Montreal that we went on a road trip and we were able to get their expertise of how to make a face and we ended up coworkers started sculpting things and everything, but she found the answer. So the support is always around, but it's only when we express, by the
Yeah.
way, I don't think I can do this. But we never want to say that
Yeah.
because it's like, oh no, no, I've got to be able to do that, right? So the extremes that I went through in that, even just in those
Mm.
7 years, were huge. But I just thought
Yeah.
this was normal. Well, everybody goes through this, right? And this is the way it's normal. But it was just like one after another. So when I left that company, it was just like all I want is respect and a place where people love what you do. And that's why Reboot was the next job
Mm.
that was so, hey, we're glad you're here. Hey, we love what you do. Hey, do you want to work on this project? Do you want to do this? Timeline is fine, right? You got enough time to do it. And I'm like, what was what was that other place that I was in? But in the
Yeah.
bigger picture of a soul going into an earth plane existence, you
Mm.
needed to go through that tunnel
Mm.
to become more like the heart of Yoshi was quietly in there somewhere saying, I want to work on cool things. Oh yeah, I got to work on the morph job. Oh, it's for a yeast infection commercial. But at least I got to express some of my stuff, right? This is good. And I would grab those moments, but all those trials were so huge in that. And there were some that repeated in the next jobs, but they were so heavy that it put me to the brink of breakdown to eventually have to cry for help and somebody would hear me, right? But I think when somebody hears you and then you just say, oh my gosh, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to be able to solve how to do this when I'm only learning this system right now. So the trials, as heavy as they were, I don't think I would change that because the extremes that it pushed me to gave beautiful extremes of you never want to get to that point again, right? So now if something kind of comes up like that, I'm like, hey, 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 boundary. This is not
Yeah.
cool. I have this communication that protects me
Yeah.
now, and that protection allows me to stay more of the stardust, right? Whereas
Yeah.
like, hey, that's not cool. Hey, that's not cool. But before, you couldn't you couldn't do in my age at that time, I couldn't do that because I didn't have the experience to communicate it. But the
Yeah.
trials, as hard as they are, make you who you are. And
Yeah.
so you can't, I don't think you can skip them,
Mm.
but you can teach a
Yeah.
way to move through them softer
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. And um like I have a teacher whom I've learned this from, that is like you receive your medicine like from the holes that you have to like dig yourself, or like kind of like crawl yourself like out of. And it's
Absolutely.
like, yeah, and it's so true. And it's almost like, um like a diamond or like a gem that forms like through like going into the mud, and like all of the
Yeah.
things that like are kind of gritty and hard.
Yeah.
um and like what I am sort of like receiving like from the trials that you describe is that like self-worth and self-respect were like these like big things that you received like through them. It's like the medicine,
Yeah.
like, and this like letting go of like, oh, I don't need to prove myself.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's the part where you realize that you can find the proving ground changes because the equation for what proving means changes. Whereas in those 7 years, it's like, I think I have to prove myself to this company because
Mm.
that's the structure that's in there. But after all those trials, and then you're getting this, I call it, it's like an alchemy, right? The medicine is this alchemy that's changing you and giving you strength. And the wisdom that comes out, I I don't have to stay in this building. Like when Reboot came calling, this is like, by the way, did you want to make spaceships and fun stuff? Right? It was like my friend asking me that. He was like, and it was like, you mean there's another landscape of creativity where you can actually
Yeah.
express in non-stress? What? What? And then you go there and you walk into that area and you go, wow, there's support. There's so much support and reflection here. I
Mm.
didn't know that that existed because I thought this is what you had to do. And that's why
Mm.
there's a lot of things where, like in the general, for say directors or whatever, where there's some directors that are assholes and there's some directors that are really compassionate. And some of the asshole directors create the most brilliant pieces. So they say, do you need to be an asshole in order to get brilliance out? But it's like through the trials that I'd gone through, did I need to go through those situations that were so tough in order to get this alchemy that happens that brings me to this stardust realization? And it's like, well, it's whatever is the equation for you that is going to make you see that this thing is really important, right? So
Yeah.
it's all about the contrast that we need that shoots a desire out of us to say,
Mm.
there's a better way to do this. There's a better way, and I want to be a part of a better way. And
Yeah.
and so it's yeah, it's an interesting journey that
Yeah.
realizing there is a smoother landscape that you can be in to
Yeah.
cultivate your
Yeah.
stardust in a more healing way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like there is a way that that we are, or at least I feel like I and the sort of like community that I like resonate with are
Yeah.
evolving like to this like different paradigm of
Yes.
creativity and like different paradigm of artistry, because like I feel like we come from this like era of like a lot of like this hard and harsh and like this very punishing relationship like to our expression and like to our creativity, and like this very restrictive and controlling, and like this kind of like, if you imagine like the like the typical stereotype of a gymnastics teacher who is like
Yeah.
really restricted, like, and they're like almost like they have a whip in their
Yeah.
hand and you're not allowed
Yeah.
to make any mistakes and they're gonna whip your ass until you get it. It's like
Yeah.
it's sort of like that, you
Yeah.
know, that we just like almost like squeeze all of our energy to prove that like really punishing authority figure, and like to get like the validation of like of the authority like figure,
Yeah.
and like, it's like almost like that I have to like either starve or I have to, you know, like punish myself in order to create anything that is worth something or that is beautiful or that is somehow, you know, that is something. Like I feel like that like in this time, I feel like that is getting a little bit old.
It
You know,
is huge,
it's
huge.
it's yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like this it feels um yeah, it just feels like like there is another way
Yeah.
to like do this. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, that whole shift I feel as well is happening right now. And it's been going on for a bit, where
Yeah.
the realization of, especially when you label like creativity and artists in their mode of expression, and being able to, like, when I feel that punishing side, but that gymnastics teacher is teaching you perfection, right? And it's teaching you the way to make the perfect pen, right? And that's good in a sense, as long as the soul who's doing all those tricks and everything isn't lessened by it. Because, like you say, they lose themselves in the sense of, I want to get approval from this punisher to say that, oh,
Yeah.
but I can do it. And look at me, I got that 10. And I don't know if when you're standing there with your gold medal and having done that, was it all worth it in that sense? Because that glory only lasts for as long as the national anthem lasts or the interviews after that. But if you were to interview that person right after that, like a few days after, how are you now? What are you working on? Well, I'm waiting for the next 4 years for the next Olympics. I'm going to work and get better so I can get my second gold medal. How many medals do you need in order to prove yourself? And again, it's a quest that I honor. They're on that quest for a reason. That, like, it's something to have those, but it's a definition that they've put in their mind. Whereas my quest is a different gold medal. It's just like, oh, I want to work on something that has meaning, right? Something related, earlier was something related to like a Star Wars kind of thing. Now it's like, what is your quest? It's like to have this heart of Yoshi expression go out, and somebody to just receive that and awaken something in them that says, oh, I understand my spirit. Like, that would be great. And yes, it's going to be a repeating thing, but it's a repeating thing that I feel comes back to but you're doing all that for the truth, for the good of society. And I think that's why this shift is happening, because artists are saying, I don't create my best art when I'm under those tight pressures. Some will say it'll
Yeah.
push me because, oh my God, it's due in 2 days. Okay, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. And you do your brilliant work in there. But
Yeah.
that's not the natural process of an artist. The natural process of an artist is to get to that point where they just say, here's a white canvas, whether it be writing, music, art, whatever. Here's a white canvas. What are you going to do? I'm going to play the first note. I'm going to sing the first tune. I'm going to paint the first piece of color,
Mm.
but I'm not doing it with a art director behind me saying, "Are you sure about that first note? I don't know. You started with a E. Most people start with C." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" Right?
Yeah.
But that person is in their own journey, wondering, how am I supposed to project onto this person to give them the best support so that they know when you start off with C, it's a better way to create. No, but the music just wants to come out with like, "Ah," whatever note comes out, right? The art just wants to
Yeah.
do that in the same way. So I think because the time has been brewing for is like, okay, enough. The artists are saying like, enough. I just want to create like this. I just want to express. And that's where the truth comes out. That's why the shift is getting louder in a good way, because the artist is going to be happy in their creation process. They're going to tap into the universe in that way because they're more in the flow of it. And they're going to realize, oh, actually everything is just effortless. It's ease and flow in the way I create. Hey, do you want to make another one? Yeah, I want to make another one. I'm going to actually already start another one. Actually, I got 5 of them going on right at this moment. And you do them, but you do them and you get them completed because this is a great way. Like I love not having an art director and a producer and a client and that all behind me, because again, I get to be that same energy of Yoshi dancing on the dance floor. What are you making today?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's changing.
Yeah. And it's like from this sort of like extractive like relationship like to that creativity and like to that innocence and excitement and skill like to one
Yeah,
that is actually really more like reverent and more like in service like to the bigger thing, like whether it's like music or art or like you know um like some sort of like frequency like love or permission that you like
yeah,
that like everything that you express from like sort of express sort of like serves like
yes,
in a
yeah,
way, and
yeah,
it's not just like something that we're sort of like pumping from the artist until they are like dry and like
yes,
exhausted and burnt
yes,
out.
yes,
We got the thing. Like here's how we get it. We just like squeeze it out of the
yeah,
artist.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, they're so tied into the universe that it's kind of regenerating the energy while they're creating it. And I was just thinking, there's a reason why the disciplined learning stage happens, right? It's almost like as we're building our tool belt to learn about music, learn about how drawing is, learning about how structure is, we need those tool sets to allow us to be at our own level of expression so that we can get the expression out. So, oh, I'm glad I worked all that time in the digital area and commercials, because now when I go and work on some digital program now, oh, this is like second nature to me because I repeated it over and over. It's like a martial arts artist, right? Repeating that same sword move, sword move, sword move till you get it perfect, right? Could you just say, I just want to be a free artist and I just want to flow that sword how it is? Yes, you could do that. But if you want to allow that expression, when you see somebody do a martial arts expression connected with that discipline from years of training,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
feel it because
Yeah.
they're not thinking about it at that moment, right? It's just like it
Mm.
just happens. But that could not happen without that wonderful trial stage that's just like, what are you doing? Oh, actually, it's just not a bad situation. It's like I'm building my discipline of myself in repeating it to get better and better so that I can whoosh, make a paint stroke, make a note, write a book or whatever, right? I wrote
Yeah.
that sentence because it took me 50 years to get to the point to write that sentence in that way. If
Mm.
I wrote that
Yeah.
sentence 40 years ago, it wouldn't have the experience that I had of that. But and somebody will look at that, it's just a sentence. But but it kind of gets back to the same thing that you said at the very beginning, where you're just like, it's all so simple. This is like, just be you. But if somebody, if that was schooling, or it's just like, hi, welcome to grade 1, just be you. It's like, what? It's like, just be you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just like, we have to learn what the be you is by
Mm.
reading books, by reading poetry, by experiencing doing our first speech in front of the class, right? By doing all these things, and then to get to the be you. So 50 years later, it's like, oh, be you. I understand what that means, but the amount of work that it took to get to what, and it's a constant thing, right? Are you still you? No, I'm not still completely me. I'm more and more tapped into me.
Mm.
And it's not even the you, it's the, are you more of the universe, right? Are you
Yeah.
more connected with that? But
Yeah.
it's,
It's
yeah.
like you're expanding into it like more
Yes.
and more, and there's always
Yeah.
more to expand into.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Like the universe is
Yeah.
expanding at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And and I feel like it's like this beautiful like union of like both of these things kind of like bringing that discipline and the expression together, and they both like serve the bigger
Yeah.
thing. And it's like
Yeah.
where like where go like shit goes haywire is like when discipline is not serving
Yes.
like
Yes.
anything else but like extracting and like getting. And I think
Yeah.
yeah, that is like a big shift, I feel like, for the artistic world to sort of like
Yeah.
unwind
Yes.
that thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to be able
Yeah.
to kind of be self retrospective, or whatever the term is, about introspective on it, and to have like having the mentors, having the sessions, having the getting all the stuff out. This is like it's part of the journey, but it's again, it's like when I look at the universe, and it's like, I'm sure the first planet that was ever created, as they were tweaking the gravity and all that, with whatever intelligence was doing all this, they're learning through experience as well. Now it's I was like, oh, but it's so easy for you to just like, ooh, another planet, another galaxy, and all that. Trials of billions
Yeah.
of years or whatever to that evolution, um, in the sense of matter being created just as molecules, or whatever. Again, getting back to the stardust, because there is a point where it's just like, oh, that but the stardust is perfection just as it is. It's like, don't, and a
Yeah.
painting will come out just like that song is perfect. Gong, gong, right? It's
Mm.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's a neat journey.
Yeah. So is it raining here? It's a funny sound. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's like this
Nope.
trickling sound.
It's
Um,
nature communicating to
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like I felt like I really wanted to go down that like little rabbit hole
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
in this conversation. Um, but now what I want to ask you is how are you your own role model? Kind of like to bring it
Yeah,
like full circle, almost like to the topic.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think intuitively answering, it's realizing that everything that I have learned through the path that I have gone through up to this point have been all in perfection of how they're supposed to be, and
Mm.
learning things when I was supposed to be, having hardships when I was supposed to have them, all these points of being lost, hitting rock bottom, not knowing what I'm doing, and all that. The role model is being formed out of those. So it's almost like if it was a manifestation of an actual being formed out of all these trials and tribulations of what you've gone through, that entity of me through those experiences in a third person is speaking to myself to say, remember this though, but remember this, right? And it's wow, it's very emotional even talking about that it's this beautiful entity that says everything that you've gone through has been a perfect role situation for you to learn, oh, well, I don't want to do that situation again. Oh, I learned how to stand up in my power more from that situation. I learned how to create boundaries from that situation. I learned how to listen to a friend when they were in their troubled times. The role model is being created by all those experiences, and to listen to it. And it's got all the little points packed into it of, oh, the books you've read, mentors you've been with, and all that along the way to add it. But the culmination of who this entity is becoming, who is within me, who has already tapped into the perfection of the universe. But it's just this reminder of, like, it's the voice that just quietly just says, keep going. Like, you're doing great. Like, this is there. And I was reminded recently, mentor was saying that you may not know it, but you are already on the path and you are always improving. You are always going, you may think you're going like this, but you're actually incrementally going up. And when I heard that, I was just like, wow. And this is the group that I just had joined, the Inspired Collective, where when that reflection came from Amy, she just said, I think you're just maybe not seeing that you are on this path, and you're constantly elevating, even though you may not feel it. And that role model of me helping teach me, but hearing that and really hearing that reflection, it's like those times where people reflect things back to you, and it's like it hits the truth in you. Oh my God, you're right. Whereas I may have been thinking, no, but I'm not, but I'm not, but I'm not. No, you're doing great. So the role model has been coming out more and more with each stage, saying you're getting the information you need by every situation. Keep going because you're always improving. And it's
Yeah.
been a huge clarity for me again to receive that in this moment.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, and it's good because I'm still always open to learning and
Yeah.
working by feeling now. I think that's the biggest thing that the role model is always like, it's not about logic all the time. It's about more and more feeling. But how does it feel? That song is really good because it does this in the exact pentameter or what, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, that song is good because it fucking makes me feel amazing, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's that truth. Yeah. So I guess the role model, yeah, has been never even thought of it that the role model just gets built out of all my experiences and is this star-filled energy that just reflects back to me remembrances of all those points along the way where it's like, you're not going to return to those situations because you learn the lesson, you learn the lesson, you learn the lesson. And then you're only pulled forward now to your desires of the next from this point on. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a lot of permission, like in sort of trusting that like our path is perfect.
Yeah.
And I think there's this way that we like I feel like there's a lot of conditioning around like we just like almost like having to force our lives like into something or be like you just have to go and like get it
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in a way and
Yeah.
um I don't know if that's always true like obviously like following the things like that feel true but at the same time like sort of like trusting that
Yeah.
like there's also like a bigger thing that is sort of like guiding me, even though I can't see the perfection yet, or I
Yeah.
can't understand it. But
Yes.
like, can we let go of like fighting it and, sort of like trust it? I think it's one of those like really, it's a big and like scary thing to be like, I'm gonna trust like this bigger
It's
thing. Yeah,
yep.
that's beyond me. Yeah.
And it keeps giving you nice examples that it is there
Yeah.
as we play with it, right? Where it's just like you'll have a moment where it's just like, oh, you're just walking and then you see something on a bookstore or whatever, and it's just two words, and it's like, oh my gosh, and it's totally related to say what we were talking about, and it just like, but you can only see those two words if you were in like resonance with that vibration. Otherwise, you would just walk by it. I was like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Oh, I'm trying to work hard at trying to get this thing. And then you just walked by the reflection that you were supposed to see. So I think the trusting of that, because
Mm-hmm.
you can overdo it by saying, what are you doing? I'm looking for signs. I'm looking for, look at the color of that. Look at that, look at that. Oh, right. You can overdo it in the sense where you're trying to find the things, but the things don't show up if you're trying to show them. They show up when you're actually not even aware that you're even trying to do that, right? It's
Yeah.
like you're present. When you're
Yeah.
present, they show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's because then we are receptive,
Yeah,
I think.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we've given up the control of
Yeah.
having to create what happens in our life to say,
Yeah.
I'm allowing things to happen. You allow the how. It's like they say, right? Allow the how.
Yeah.
Don't try to figure it out because the universe is going to help you figure that out. Just go through
Yeah.
it step by
Yeah.
step, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it like in terms of self-expression and art and creativity, I feel like it relates to that like so
Yeah.
well too. Like it
Yeah.
feels so true that like if we just like become more receptive, like actually
Yeah.
our creativity and our genius and
Yeah.
our art and songs and like, you know, whatever like flows through us, the more it can actually come through because we are receptive instead of like trying to force the thing,
Yes.
or like
Yeah.
force the goal, or whatever our conditioned mind sort of like thinks
Yes. Yeah.
that it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that is the part where that is the role model too, right? Because the role model is just saying, just let the song flow out. Just let the art flow out, right?
Yeah.
You're hearing
Yeah.
that, right? In while there's maybe conflict during the time, is like, oh, no, actually it comes out better when I just go with that and then I just flow with that.
Yeah.
And that's your role. It's interesting the definition of what this role model to self
Mm.
is it's building itself. See, the conversation that we're having right now is building its own answer of allowing the role model to come through into the conversation and be described, which is just, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
It's this conversation is going to be the perfect conversation because it's meant to do that, right? And
Yeah.
and I think like it's it's an
Yeah. You,
awesome it's an awesome thing.
yeah, you got it.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool. Everything is always working out.
Yeah.
And the more you're able to sit and be with it all, like even if it's pouring rain outside and some people will be affected, it's like, oh God, it's raining. And they think, I was gonna go to the store, but now I'm gonna get all wet. And it's like, it's beautiful. What a
Yeah.
beautiful rainy day today,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
you can't convince everybody that it's a beautiful rainy day when they're focused on no, it's pouring rain out on me and I don't like it. It's like, okay, that's cool. That's all right. It's just move through that, put an umbrella up or do these things, but you can't convince them until their own role model says, oh yeah, there is appreciation in the like the Bambi song that comes up while I'm carrying my umbrella. Drip, 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 little rainbow flower, right? And stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
appreciate it in that moment. But you can't tell somebody it's like you can't tell them. They have to hear their own role model telling them this is where you're
Yeah.
at. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna force it on you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Like I'm pulling like a thread like from this conversation, and it's um what's the wording of this? Like I feel like I'm receiving this thing that that like how do I say it? Like the importance of like actually learning um to value that like that thing that we have like inside that core and that
Yeah.
innocence, that like the
Yep.
heart of Yoshi, that
Yep.
which is often like something that we sort of like grow to not really value. And
Mm,
it's like that journey of like coming back to actually valuing the thing that we
yes.
almost like it's like the rain outside. It's like the thing that we almost like learn to not like value the least, but
Yes.
to like find the value of like the real things that like
Yes.
actually matter, and to recognize them, like to
Yes.
like what is actually valuable to me, because like that is also like something that I hear in your story, is like actually recognizing like what is actually valuable to me. Like, is
Mm.
it valuable to me to be here in this like industry that just like wants to suck the life out of me, like doing these like it wasn't a tampon ad, it was like a yeast infection ad.
Yeast
Like
infection.
it's like, is this what I is is this what I value, right? Or like what is it that I actually like really really value? Yeah.
You know, it's
For
because in those
sure.
moments, I don't think I'm even seeing
Yeah.
Gynacure, day one, day done, right? It's just like I'm not seeing that in my head because I'm saying, look at that morph that I just did. Isn't
Yeah.
that so cool, right? Oh yeah, okay, it's got this product on it in the end, but I'm in that moment. But then there's something that just say, but wouldn't it be cool if the morph was for a Michael Jackson video instead? Like it's like, oh, that seems more aligned, right? In doing it. But those messages that pop up, like you say, yeah, I evaluate it along the way. At that point, I wasn't to say, this is outrageous. I shouldn't stay with this company because I need to work on things more productive. I was still learning through that
Yeah.
mode. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I will do this. And I'll do the next Tide commercial. I'll do the next Polydent commercial. I'll do all these things. But it got to the point where it's just like, okay, now it's enough. Okay, now I've done enough. Like I remember the day where I just had enough and I was compositing dinosaurs for a documentary and I was just like, it was cool work. Like if you showed that in a snippet, look at he's making dinosaurs, stop motion dinosaurs. In this scene, he's adding the fog, he's adding all these things on the layers. That would look great to a kid who's just going into computer animation. Oh my God, if I had your job, that'd be so amazing. But I'm at like this top point where I just said, I am done. I am so done. And evaluation in that moment. And that signal went out so strong. That's when the reboot call came into my universe. So it was like, hey, there's this other job opportunity. But that point where it's just like, I seem to be still working on this project and making it look really good, but I'm actually not liking it right now. But the signal of evaluation is going out there. And so that when that email came up, I didn't immediately say, oh yeah, I'm going to take it. It's like, oh, we'd have to move to the other side of the country. We'd have to sell our house and do all these things or all that stuff. But as I thought about it more as a deadline of the 2 weeks to let my friend know, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I gotta take this opportunity, no matter what's involved in the next little while. I've got to take that opportunity. And it was a tough situation, but in the bigger picture of it, it was a profound situation of, oh my gosh, this is the new landscape that I'm in now. But yeah, I somehow have this inner evaluator that is always kind of reflecting the situation and saying, but how does it align with who you feel you truly are? And that voice wasn't always strong, right? Yeah, it's a little, yeah, but it's strong inside. But what I'm hearing is just like, no, but this is right. But over time, the evaluator, I, I'm so glad he's there, and that's why I wouldn't stay at a place for so long, not doing the things that are satisfying my soul. Like I always get to that kind of saturation point where I know it's time to go, or the company decides to lay me off, or the company, or like my friend passing away. Those exits are always really interesting. They come at the right time. So I think the valuation also comes in life itself, where it's like, why is there birth and then death? And then you go through all these things. We always find that, oh, when a relative passes away, oh my God, the value of their life in that moment when it's coming to the
Mm,
end.
mm,
Oh my God, I should have spent more time with you. Oh my God, I should have asked you all these questions. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. The value came up. And I think that's why it's created that way. We need to have that arc in the whole life to
mm,
come to the, are you appreciating what life is really about?
mm,
Like that all that time in commercials, I was showing up less and less to family gatherings because I had to work weekends, I had to get this job done and all that. So um, the distance in that time was just like, but it was more important for me to work on those commercials because, oh, I'm making my career, and we all go through that. We got to make our career in that time. But then
mm,
you step back and you just see, well, what was really important in that time is like,
mm,
for me was learning that lesson, and then as it goes on. So I've struggled through my life as I've like moved to the other side of the continent and then keeping in touch with family and stuff like that, that it's always loving situations when we connect, but there's always that guilt in there, right? That I'm learning to heal and express my love whenever I'm connecting with them in that. But value comes out when we realize those, like a life is only so long, and then they're gone, so to speak. Like they made the big leap into becoming stardust. Like they're 100% stardust now, but
yeah,
in the earth plane, we see that value, and that's what the role model's saying all the time. Like it's just like it's whispering to you, but it's like I'm not gonna force you out of this job right now, but I want you to get some remembrance that there is value
yeah,
beyond
mm, yeah,
gynecure.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like like all of the experiences like have their place
Yes.
like in the whole like book or the whole story, and like is like it's fascinating like what we learn, like what we get from like all of the things that we experience. And obviously
Absolutely.
like it's absolutely perfect that we like have all the trials and challenges and sometimes errors and
Yeah,
side quests and like whatever, but like they all like usually seem to serve some kind of a purpose.
absolutely. And I
Really.
think that's the thing. Like the term regret, or say someone
Mm,
passes away and you regret that, oh, I should have spent more time with them. I should have done this, should have. The lesson in each of those gets stronger, right? Because we hear the lesson And when my dad passed away, he wanted to do a biography for his life. And so I started to have these Zoom chats with him and just to get chapters of the book. But then he passed away. And so the book never got made because there weren't enough interviews to do that. And I went through so much regret. I was like, oh, I should have been more organized. I should have talked earlier. I should have. But then you go through that anguish of it, but you remember it now. So now a tweak that happens with something else. So what about this other thing that I want to do? Is it's like, oh, I want to get on that and I want to be proactive on that. I want to put the timing in there. I want to do these things. But the role model of me also knows in those times, like say when it's like, oh, don't have time to do this interview Zoom right now because I was doing this other thing or whatever, the role model's like, I'm just gonna sit back and allow you because you got to do the things that you need to do. And I know that you know that think that's important and all that. But that regret point when, okay, dad's gone. And the role model is consoling, the role model is supportive, but it's also just saying quietly, we've learned, here's another little bit of that medicine of just like value the time with the people around you now. Like when I have a lunch with a person now, I am so there, right? I'm just like, I'm talking to you, right? When I
Yeah.
have a Zoom, I'm talking to you. I'm not thinking about, oh, I should do this and this and this. It's like, no, how are you? What's happening? And all that. So I think our role model, again, it's always whispering really quietly from the experience from before, but it's just saying, just reminding you to be in this moment because we know how we felt when we missed those other times, and then that can't happen anymore because they passed away or whatever. But you did the best of your ability with the decisions you were making at that time, with what you thought was the best decision to make. Be okay with that because you can't go back in time. And I think the role model doesn't want you to spend too much time mulling over the past, worrying about the future. The role model wants to say, are you here again? Oh, you're thinking about the past again, right? Okay, come back. Or it's like you're thinking you should be better. You think you should. Oh, okay. Oh, you're worrying about that thing. You're worrying. Come back, and stuff. So, um, even for the eclipse, I think that's why so many people who are able to see that totality happen. It was raining over here, so we didn't see it, but they were brought into the present moment. By the way, it's daytime right now, and it's nighttime, and now it came back to sunrise and up in a matter of 10 minutes for them or whatever, right? Their role model was like, whoa, we're on a planet. We're, there's celestial things happening out there that just affected our Earth plane. And the people that have experienced it, I'm sure, have been changed because of being able to witness that thing. So I think each of those moments, again, what did that do? It brought him to the present moment. Yeah, by the way, you're on a rock floating in space, going around the fireball. Right? Like life is precious. I hope you remember this and not just say that was cool. Right?
Yeah.
You you remember that beyond
Yeah.
that blue sky, that stars.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it really beautifully kind of like wraps up
Mm,
sort of like that theme of role model and how it's here to like remind us of things that are actually like really meaningful and important and um and to like give permission and reminders and all of
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's always there. It's always there, but it's so compassionate and it's not pushy. It's just whispering to you, but it knows when it sees something that says, I think you should go for this. I think you should be on
Yeah.
the dance floor right now, right? And it's like, and that some of them are just like music, gone, right? Oh my God, that movie, amazing. Got to watch that.
Yeah.
It becomes innate in with you because you don't need the role model to tell you anymore. It is just who you are. Like the heart of Yoshi just knows now is like, yep, yep, oh, doing, yep, absolutely. Right, it's just really quick.
Yeah.
Not maybe I should. Mm, pros, cons, pros, cons, pros, cons. Right? It's like, no, you don't have to make the list in those ones. There, you are just it now. I guess you literally become the role model itself, one in the same at that moment. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Beautiful. I think this is a oh my batteries are dying from my earphones. Well, that's a really great cue, kind of like to bring this conversation to a wrap. This has been, like, I feel like we went to like many places in this
Absolutely.
conversation, but just um share how people can find you if they would love to know more about you or maybe like see your art or experience it.
Absolutely. The biggest place for the focus right now is just on Instagram. So Heart of Yoshi. Just look for me on there, and then you'll see the links to some of the other accounts that I have on there. Um, I think as I expand out of that reach, it'll, I do have a website, but I have to update that at some point. But Instagram is like the latest um, up-to-date stuff, and just Heart of Yoshi. So just
Yeah.
remember that, and that's where I am, and the links will go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So
Yeah.
everyone listening, go check it out.
And thank you for this conversation. I always appreciate the conversations with you. Like I know they're just all connected celestially and just to the truths all the time. So always a
Yeah.
joy, pure joy in this. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
yeah. Thank you for coming. This
Ah,
was a pleasure. Always excited on
always.
Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. Excited on Zoom.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
pleasure. My
so waving to the listeners. I'm gonna
pleasure.
stop recording. Bye bye.
Bye.